I will kick you out of here.
Does your embroidery thread make you feel like this? Please, 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 please. Are you? That was me before I knew all of these tips that I'm about to share with you. I would love to help you, so let's fix it together. There are so many points in the embroidery process where your thread can start acting a little naughty, pun intended. So let's just start at the very beginning. Let's talk about removing your thread from the skein. Grab the skein and hold it lightly with one hand. Then with your other hand, find the loose end. It's usually on the side of the label with the number, and slowly pull it from the bottom. The key word here is slowly. If you yank it, it's gonna knot up immediately. Next up is separating your thread. Each skein has 6 strands of thread like you can see here. You do not have to separate your thread. I personally love stitching with 2 to 3 strands. If you do want to separate it, this is how. To separate your thread, grab the very end with one hand and lightly pinch the end. If the strands seem like they're really sticking together at the end, you can just lightly tap them and that kind of helps like separate them from one another. You're just gonna grab one strand, anyone's fine, with one hand. And with your opposite hand, lightly pinch the strands of thread over here and then slowly pull it out. And now once that's separated, you can just go ahead and straighten this thread out down here. Part 3 is thread length. Okay, this is the big one. If you take nothing else from this video, please take this. Let me just put your little face in my hands. And I say this all with love and kindness because this is the one thing that people don't want to do. But I promise if you just try it, it'll make things a lot easier. So for me, and because I love you and I care about you, please listen to this one thing. People get so mad at me for this one, but I promise it's just worth it. This is the biggest thing I see that causes knots. Here is how I highly, highly, highly recommend measuring your thread. Grab the end of the thread in one of your hands and with your other hand, fully extend your arm. And then you're gonna measure your thread from your shoulder to your hand right here. And this is the length that you are gonna wanna cut it at, okay? Please just try it. And that's it. That's the perfect length to stitch with every time. It's the rule of thumb. This goes down in the embroidery history books. Like, this is the length your grandmas would tell you to embroider at. Okay, I pinky promise. Trust me on this one. Now I know what you're thinking, but I don't want to stop and tie my thread off on the back and rethread my needle all the time. Bestie, I get it. I was you. But trust me when I say using shorter strands actually will save you so much time and frustration because you will spend way more time stitching and way less time fighting with your thread. Longer thread means it's gonna have more friction when the thread goes in and out of the fabric again and again. Every time you pull your thread through the fabric, it frays and weakens your thread and makes your thread fuzzier. In this example, my hair is gonna be our thread and the hoodie will be our fabric. So every time I take this hoodie on and off, it's like pulling my thread through the front of the fabric and then back in to make a stitch. So every time I do this, my hair continues to frizz, it's starting to knot up, and it's gonna be harder to brush whenever I need to do that. And it's the same thing with your thread. Shorter strands stay smoother, stronger, and are easier to work with. Also, look at how much more difficult it is for me to pull this really long strand of thread through my hoopin fabric versus the shorter strand. Finally, my secret weapon, thread gloss, thread conditioner, thread magic, whatever you want to call it. I started using this a couple years ago and I will not embroider without it. Once again, this was recommended to me so many times. I was like, no, I don't want to do that. Sounds like another thing to do. I got enough of that. But it literally takes 2 seconds. You just like grab your thread. I always like run through the end like this. All you do is you literally get your strand of thread, hold it up against a gloss like this, and pull it through. And now it's ready to be threaded into your needle, and it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. So why should you use thread gloss? Why do I use thread gloss? Let's use hair as an example yet again. So think about how hard it is to brush hair when it's dry and full of static. Then think about how much easier it is to brush after it's been conditioned and how much shinier it looks. So what conditioner does for hair is exactly what thread conditioner does for your thread. The thread conditioner coats the fibers, keeps the strands of thread together, reduces friction, and makes the thread glide through your fabric like butter. I'm holding 3 strands of thread without thread gloss in this picture. If you're looking at each individual strand, you can see that they're not sticking together very well. Here are 3 more strands of thread with thread gloss. The thread looks nice and smooth, there aren't any loose fibers, and all the strands are sticking together very nicely. And here's a nice side-by-side example for you. As you can probably see, the thread without the thread gloss is on the left, and the thread with the thread gloss is on the right. The left side has 3 strands of thread, and the right side has 3 strands of thread. The only difference between both of these is one has thread gloss and one does not. Remember when I said that the thread gloss helps your thread move through the fabric like butter? You can actually hear the difference when you are using thread gloss versus when you aren't. This stitch is our 3 strands of thread with no thread gloss going through the fabric. Now this stitch is the 3 strands with the thread gloss going through the fabric. Could you hear the difference? I'm going to play the clips one more time with no breaks in between. When your thread is easier to work with, embroidering is easier, which for me makes it way more fun. If I wanted to spend my time detangling things, I would buy a bag of necklaces from Goodwill and spend my life detangling them. That's not fun for me. If that's fun for you though, then I mean, by all means, disregard everything I said in this video. When I first started stitching like 6 years ago, I didn't know any of this stuff. I would literally cry out of frustration sometimes because all I wanted to do was embroider, but all I was doing was unknotting my thread again and again and again. Once I learned all these things, it became way more fun. If this video helped you untangle some of your frustration, please subscribe to my channel for more embroidery tips and tutorials. And if you have any questions about what we talked about today, please leave them in the comments. I read every single one and I love helping make embroidery easier for people. And if there's anything else embroidery related that you would like to see a video on, let me know down below. If you're curious about any of the products I use, I have them tagged from my website or I have them tagged in my Amazon affiliate thing in the description. Some I sell on my website and then some I just get from Amazon. If you're interested in any of my embroidery patterns or kits, check out my website, which is also tagged below. If you order more than $20 worth of stuff off my site, use discount code YouTube for a free stick and stitch sticker of your choice. No matter what, your thread is likely still gonna knot up from time to time. That's normal, it happens. But I can promise you that if you follow all the tips I just shared with you, your thread will knot up way less. I was legitimately getting mad in the clip of when I was stitching with really long strands of thread. Like even just trying to separate that thread, it kept getting knotted up and I was getting so mad. I was like, I honestly, like, do I even need to include this clip in here because this is making me so mad? Like, I don't even know if I can separate these strands. I honestly do not know how I stitched with such long strands for so long. It's so much easier now not to do it that way. But I do just want to confirm, even if your thread still knots up, that doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It's just part of the game. But like I said, there are ways to make it knot up way less. Now go trim your thread. See you next time, friends. Bye.